4440981, or just tweet at smooth981. And we're streaming the show live as well on YouTube, so you can catch the live stream. Post a comment underneath as well. Just search for smooth981 on YouTube. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Zibby. Good morning to all our listeners out there and YouTube viewers. Good to be with you all on what promises to be a very interesting day.
Indeed. Can we say happy Presidential Address Day?
Yeah, exactly. We need to hear from him more. But yes, good to be hearing from the president today.
All right. So any idea about what the president is going to specifically address the nation about? I mean, we might have a few ideas, but tell us.
Yeah, I think it's the Naira swap issue. We've seen pockets of violence across some states. People are getting frustrated. We've got, a Supreme Court adjournment of a hearing. It's all happening. So for the president to come out to address us, because Lord knows he doesn't talk very much. For him to come out at 7 a.m. this morning, which is in about less than 30 minutes from now. My guess exactly. Is, 7 a.m. exactly. So my guess is he's going to say something about the Naira issue. But this is the thing, what could he possibly say? Because we have to remember that the Central Bank of Nigeria is supposed to be independent.
Right.
So is Buhari gonna, again, look, I don't know what, please let me just say this very clearly. I do not know what the president is going to say. I can only speculate. It has to be about this Naira thing. It could be something different. Maybe they've captured a terrorist or something. He could be, I don't know.
It's probably not that, Rotus.
Right. So I'm just guessing here, because by the time people watch this, he will already be addressing the nation. So, but if it is about the Naira issue, Zibby, I mean, all Naira pronouncements have come from the central bank. That is the authority empowered with the direction of the currency, interest rates, and all things monetary policy. So I cannot imagine that, even though, I don't know, with the way things are, Godwin Emefiele did go to visit with President Buhari in his home in Daura, and they talked about stuff, and the president, the decisions on the Naira currency swap, the blessing came from him. So I mean, you can talk about central bank independence, but then, so I don't know if he's going to announce that, we can all start using old notes again, or we had to extend the Naira notes swap, or rather using of old notes beyond February the 10th. I don't know if he has that authority, because the central bank is independent, but he has come under a lot of pressure. You've seen some certain governors from certain states that have taken the CBN and by extension the federal government, I think, to court. And there was that stay of execution where it was, February 10th was executed to the 15th and da. So look, I'm like everybody else, everyone should just, tune in, and see what he says. But I'm guessing, it's probably something to do. Maybe he's just going to appeal for calm. He could just
I believe he will do that.
Yeah.
Or at least he should.
He should, because again, with the whole thing about vote buying, and I think again, I'm just guessing that President Buhari wants to leave on a high. He wants to ensure free and fair elections. So I think, again, he could come out and say, everybody calm down, and then he might give a warning to the people who are the miscreants who are attacking banks and destroying things, that he will come down hard with the law. And blah, 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 blah. Because I saw a video of a central bank office, I think it was in Benin, or was it some other place? They tried to attack the central bank building, but that one, it was heavily guarded with soldiers. Those were the shot tear gas, and the attackers ran away. So who knows? He could be appealed for calm. He could make a landmark decision. He could extend the notes. So I don't know if he has the authority. It's all happening today, Zibby. I don't know what could go on. Anything can happen. This is what happens when your president doesn't talk to you too often. And so you're left in limbo as to what he could say.
Right. Now, coming to the situation that's reported to have happened in Benin, some bank buildings have been attacked and some miscreants are basically out on the streets. And you wonder, is this frustration of not being able to access funds, Or are these thugs who have been sponsored by some person or some group somewhere for whatever reason?
Yeah, you have to ask yourself, if a miscreant is going to attack a bank, how much do they have in there? What is the incentive to go and break glass, or is it going to give you your money? It's not. Banks have been closing early because of people getting really riled up and getting very angry. So you can't get the money. So what are you going to gain by destroying property? Plus, all these banks are insured. We saw what happened during the NSARS protest. They were destroyed, but they got fixed. So again, this is another just a public service announcement to everybody out there. Get insurance, protect your assets in case they are damaged. They will be replaced by it. So the banks are insured. So if you go there and you go and scatter a bank, it's not going to give you your money back, and you might end up getting arrested. I hear in whether it's somewhere in Benin, there are reports that some 3 people were killed. I don't know what I can't really verify that, but that's what I'm seeing in the news. Yeah, it's in the news. So I don't know if it's worth it to attack these bank buildings. Now, could they be sponsored? This is another thing that is, another thing that's floating around there, that the powers that be who want to vote by are sponsoring these people to attack these buildings so that they can pressure the government, pressure the president, pressure the central bank into allowing the old notes to be used, because apparently there's still about 500 to 900 billion naira floating around that has not yet come back into the system. And it is understood that it is politicians that are holding on to that money because they want to be able to deploy it and use it to purchase votes. So this is where the problem is. That 500 to 900 billion will be not much more than toilet paper if the central bank completes this ban on old notes and you're not allowed to turn them in, which will just completely destroy the attempts and the plans to buy votes on election day, which is in less than, when is the election? Is less than a week.
Next Saturday,
right?
Yeah,
next week.
About 11 days or so.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit over then. Yeah. So there you go.
All right, let's talk about the ruling by the Supreme Court. Okay, well, the Supreme Court pushed the Naira note hearing to the 22nd of February, and the elections are on the 25th. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that was, I don't know what, unfortunately, I'm not really good with legal stuff. They adjourned it, but to push the case so close to the election means that whatever decision they make would handicap either side. So if the governors who are trying to push for an extension, if they don't get what they want, then they've only got 3 days to try to figure out something. So, I thought they would try and put this matter to bed ahead of the elections, but there's still so much going on. I think part of what is up for the Supreme Court is whether or not the CBN can be joined in that case, whether the CBN is independent enough not to be part of that lawsuit. There's so much in the mix there, but yeah, so that's another Nigerian drama. We never cease to amaze every time elections come up. We never do.
So where does this leave Nigerians right now? This is with regards to the old and the new notes, right? So the CBN released these guidelines for getting credits for old notes up until the 17th of February. What does this all mean?
Yeah, so you have until tomorrow. If for some reason you still have old notes, you can take your notes to the Central Bank Center in Marina, which I think is on Broad Street, not too far away from the stock exchange. You have to go on a central bank portal online to fill out a form. You have to give your BVN, your name, your bank account number. You have to have an account. It cannot be done for third party. You can't do it on behalf of somebody else. It has to be for you. You fill out the form, you get a reference number, you take your identification, federal government ID, federal government issued ID, you take it to that CBN center with your old notes. They'll probably ask you some questions and everything. If everything checks out, they will give you credits to your bank account for those old notes. So you got till tomorrow to do that. Now, what I'm understanding as far as where this leaves Nigerians, some are in limbo because some people still have old notes and some businesses are no longer accepting old notes. And even people, I bought some bananas the other day and I gave the guy a new note and he tried to give me change with an old note and I refused. I was like, nope, if I gave you an old note and you can give me an old note back, but I gave you a new note, so you give me a new note change. And so he went and and gave me my change in my new notes. So even businesses are not accepting the old notes again. So it's a bit of some confusion. People are a bit of in limbo because they thought the Supreme Court's a decision would give them some more time, but the central bank is still insisting that February 10th date is still where it is. It's all in the mix. It's all in the mix.
Wow. We've probably spoken about this before, but I'm going to ask again. Has our financial system become rather politicized?
Oh, yes. The answer is still yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, It's all elections. Everything's getting politicized now. What a shame.
All right, let's look at some messages coming through on WhatsApp. Tonye says, unfortunately, it really doesn't matter what the president says today. Nothing he says can undo the gross incompetence with respect to how this monetary policy has been implemented. I'm ready to bet both new and old notes, okay, that Nigerians will be left with more questions than answers after the address. And Michael says, about the new Naira issue, I've been wondering why these agitations are taking place in certain parts of the country. It may be easy to dismiss this thought as baseless, but I'm beginning to think there is more to this than anyone is saying. Michael also just sent a message in saying transporters in Lagos are accepting the old notes with their full chest. Some businesses are accepting it as well. The reality is different. All right.
Okay, interesting.
Let's talk about inflation figures. Now, we got the new inflation figures. What does this mean?
Yeah, it's still high. It climbed. It's 21.8% in January year on year. It was 21.34 in December. Food inflation, I think, is at 23%, if I remember correctly. Food inflation at 23%. So that is still 24.3% in January. It was 23.7 in December. So food prices are still elevated. I think much of this core inflation, which removes volatile items, that also rose as well. So, and I think that's all mostly due to the fuel scarcity we saw in January, which was, pushing up transportation prices and fed through to food. So still very, very elevated. Ghana's inflation is 53%. So people are wondering how our neighbors in Ghana, food inflation in Ghana is 61%. And meanwhile, us just 45 minutes away by road here, we are at 20-something level. So there's still some questions on whether Nigeria's inflation numbers are accurate. But by and large, the numbers are still high.
So what does this mean for regular folk like you and I?
I mean, things are still very costly. Things are your investments are, unless they're doing better than year-on-year inflation, they're yielding a negative return. And it's just really, things are still very expensive. So it's, I heard there was some protest in Ibadan, I think, and they were just protesting everything, cost of living. I saw a comment from some bakers who were saying that because of the Ukraine war, the Russia invasion of Ukraine, wheat prices are higher. So bread has gone up. Everything's gone up, Zibby. It's still quite tough out there for the everyday Nigerian.
All right. Let's look at a few messages coming through. Peter says, all these attacks and protests on the Naira policy are sponsored by vote buyers. Funny as it is, they think they will arm twist the CBN. And this one is from Timothy. Timothy says, it's a clear ideal versus a real scenario on the Naira redesign policy. I'm so sorry, Timothy. It's really difficult to read your message, but thank you all the same for sending it in. That's all the time that we have on Business Express this morning. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Rotus.
Thanks, Zibby. President speaks in 15 minutes. We'll hear what he has to say, and everybody will react accordingly. Thanks for all your messages. Thanks, Zibby.
All right, that's it for Business Express, but do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the